Well, hello, and welcome back. Part 2 of the HE-111 video. As a refresh from the first video, track the landing gear on this. Started life as an airliner fast mail plane, became a formation long-range medium bomber. 5,000 pounds of bombs, 4,400 they say for this, speed of about maybe 255 as the war progressed. So the forces from France were evacuated from Dunkirk and are now in Britain. The Battle of Britain has begun, and the HE-111 is a main primary bomber. I don't have a Hawker Hurricane model, but the Hawker Hurricane probably did the brunt of hunting these and shooting them down. But they're not the only one. Only briefly seen during the Battle of France, but prominently featured as the savior of Britain during the Battle of Britain would be the Supermarine Spitfire. This plane did go up against the HE-111 and did shoot them down. Without any escorts to save it, the Spitfire will destroy it. The Spitfire is over 100 miles an hour faster. Either 8.30 caliber Brownings or like this one, 3.30 calibers, 2 in each wing and 2 20mm Hispano cannon. The same Hispano cannon that's in the nose of the D-Tween 520, but 2 mounted in the wing. There's not a lot of early Spitfires, but they with the 20mm, the Mark V, which this is a copy, a model of, a Kobe also, had them as part of the armament, the B-Wing. They did have some B-Wings in Mark 1s and Mark 2s with different engines. Not a lot, but they did go up and they did see combat. And 20mm cannon against this plane, even though this plane has self-sealing fuel tanks and armor like the American planes that would encounter later, it wouldn't hold up well against 20mm cannon fire. And so the Spitfires that did go and intercept these bombers tore them out of the sky. And there's a good example of this in the movie Battle of Britain. There's video clips on YouTube called Hunting Heinkels, and you could see these planes getting hunt and shot down by these Spitfires. So what does that mean? It means that this 1930s technology bomber, time has kind of caught up with it. It needs an escort, or it needs to be in a more limited role, not in a mass formation because of the weak defensive armament. It could not sustain itself to go and bomb without losing very, very large numbers of planes. So after the Battle of Britain, 1941, the United States gets involved in the war. So where's the Heinkel 111 seen next? It would be seen in North Africa. In North Africa, it would encounter American pilots flying, for all practical purposes, this plane, the Curtiss P-40E. This is the E model. This is also another Kobe model. And it's got appropriate markings where the red dot in the center star was taken out. And this would have been 1942, after May of 42. So this plane would have been there for Operation Torch along with the P-38, which I might do a video of on its own. I have a very large, highly detailed one, but for now this is about the Heinkel. Would have faced the Curtiss P-40. Curtiss P-40, 650 caliber wing-mounted machine guns, a top speed of 362 miles an hour, almost 100 miles an hour faster than the Heinkel. So you have another plane, and this plane is very well armored. I think better armored than the Spitfire. It's, somewhat overdone, I think, with it, but that's the beauty of this plane. The diving speed on this plane is over 500 miles an hour. And it could sustain it because of the way it was built. It's built like a tank. And it was fairly maneuverable, and it claimed and took a very large share of these planes in North Africa, supporting General Patton's armies and any other armies involved in the fight. So this plane then next would be seen in Sicily and in Italy. Once again, it would need both the P-40 and the Spitfire. By this time, it's the Mark V. So both of these planes over Sicily, over Italy, over North Africa were there, Spitfire and the P-40, to change basically what the HE-111 does. The HE-111 no longer can be a self-sustaining formation bomber. It needs fighter protection in order to survive. So you see a change in what this is used for. And I'm not doing the Eastern Front. I might do another video about the Eastern Front, which would be Soviet fighters and American P-39s that would be going up against us. But for now, the Spitfire and the P-40 basically reduced this to a second-tier aircraft. That's because it's old. So what it would be doing now is picking targets of opportunity. Targets of opportunity would be anything that they can go in, and bomb and continue on with their operations. No longer the main point of any bombing operation. They did have faster planes like the Junkers 88 and the later Dornier models, but this plane is solid, dependable, so they kept flying it. Enter 1944, the invasion of France, and now you're in Western Europe. The biggest scourge, the HE-111 would not be the P-51 Mustang, and I have a P-51 Mustang up there, one of the shelves, and I'm not going to even bother. The plane that would be hunting it would be this, the P-47 Thunderbolt. Most likely this version here, which is the Razorback. It's got a regular canopy with a frame on it. This plane is capable of 426 miles per hour plus. It is extremely fast, even though it's big. The reason this plane is this size is because it has a turbocharger, just like your car, with an intercooling system. And back in the 1940s, they couldn't make it small like they do now. The plane was built around the turbocharger. It's a supercharged Wright 2800 radial engine, air-cooled, fitted to this massive airframe, putting out way over 2,000 horsepower. So this is a very fast, very quick moving, very quick climbing, even though it's big because of the turbocharger, and it has a supercharger with it also. So it's turbo supercharged. This plane flies, and it's air-cooled. It could take a lot of damage. As far as the Heinkel, if you look at the wings, there are 8 machine guns. As you can see, it has 850 caliber Browning machine guns, so it could basically literally disintegrate aircraft. So imagine you're doing a target of opportunity mission in France or in Germany, basically, 44, 45, and you're using the HE-111, and you got your little 30 caliber Mauser machine guns, and all of a sudden, and this would happen a lot because there are planes looking for targets of opportunity just the way the Heinkel is, and that would be the P-47. So imagine you're over there doing your stuff, and this baby comes and just rakes you with 50 caliber fire and literally rips your plane to pieces and just slaughters your crew. That's what happened at this point of the war. At this point of the war, the HE-111 is totally obsolete. I mean, totally outmatched. And I would have been terrified to go up in one against these or the later model Spitfires that have the Griffin engine that are just as fast and just as powerful, or a Hawker Typhoon or Tempest. These planes would become toast. So now we're at 1945. This plane is still being produced in Spain. Spain got a license to produce it. They produced it till 1952 or 56, I believe. And they use it, the Spanish Air Force, in the 1950s as a transport bomber. Kind of what it started out as. Being an airliner is kind of a transport, be a transport for civilians to be taken from point A to point B in an aircraft, which became a medium bomber. It was a dual-use design, basically. I mean, it could be quickly converted into a military aircraft, which they did. But then it had some shortcomings because it was not designed from the onset as a strategic bomber the way the B-17 was. The B-17 was an awesome aircraft. I mean, a lot of them got shot down, but it was designed as a bomber, as a formation bomber, not as what you may call it. It just conversion from a civil aircraft into a bomber. And I don't know if the Germans watched because the B 17 was kind of developed around the same time, but the B 17 definitely was a lot more forceful. But this plane set the standards. This plane bombed Guernica in the Spanish Civil War and did an effective job and showed what could be done with the concept of strategic bombing, the concept of bombing civilian populations, which 4 years later they would have done in the Battle of Britain, bombing London, bombing Coventry, and various places in England up until after the war. And after the Battle of Britain, basically, this plane had some successes out in Russia, but you did not have a lot of hard targets in Russia. They'd be bombing troops and stuff. And at lower altitudes, that had been destroyed by Soviet fighter planes. This plane did a good job. It was there when it was needed. It was dependable. And it was state of the art in 1930, 36, 35 when it came out. But unfortunately, newer and better things and better technologies come out and made this into what it is now, a beautiful museum piece of what was for a point of time in history in 1937 through like 1945. I mean, its strongest point was probably the bombing of Poland and Rotterdam, Antwerp. But then after that, I mean, it was basically, it showed its true colors and its age and started getting shot down by better fighter planes in the Battle of France. And the Battle of Britain, it was annihilated basically. Wound up doing more on the Eastern Front, and then you had planes like the Thunderbolt coming for it. I mean, they were pretty much outmatched. But that's what happens. And then the technology, even though there's a 10-year difference in technology with this and the Heinkel, was changing anyway because the jet engine was coming and jets were replacing piston engine aircraft. So this would be one of the classic piston engine bombers. The HE-111B. I hope you enjoyed this, and I did get a MiG-21 model, the new Kobe one, in Czechoslovakian markings. I purchased it from my source that I get them from. Even Brickmania doesn't have them out yet. I should have it next week, middle of the week. I will build it, and I will do a kind of exhausted MiG-21 video using Kobe aircraft. And basically, the three planes that I'm going to put up against it as opponents. One would be the F-104 Starfighter. The next one would be the F-5 Northrop fighter plane. And then the F-16, because the MiG-21 and the F-16 tangled in the 1980s, late 70s. So I will do that, and hopefully everybody has a nice weekend. Hopefully you like the way I cut my hair. I don't look as crazy. And we will have more stuff coming. And like I said, I'm going to do more. I've got a lot of these planes that I've already built, so let's do scenarios of how they fit into the historical context of World War II and basically what they represented to the countries that were using them and to the countries that were fighting against them to develop technologies and tactics to overcome. Anyway, have a nice weekend, and I will see you soon after I do my next video.